Imagine walking into a grand hotel expecting a relaxing stay, only to find yourself surrounded by whispers from the past, footsteps in empty halls, and shadows lurking where they shouldn't be. In this video, we're diving into the terrifying tales of 3 haunted hotels you should never spend a night in. We'll explore the eerie legends of the Stanley Hotel in Colorado, the mysterious Ballygally Castle Hotel in Northern Ireland, and the chilling Crescent Hotel in Arkansas. Brace yourself because these are true stories, and some visitors never left the same way they arrived. Our first stop is the infamous Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado, an inspiration for Stephen King's classic horror novel, The Shining. But long before King's stay, this hotel had a dark reputation. Built in 1909 by Freeland Oscar Stanley, the hotel was meant to be a peaceful getaway for the rich and famous. Stanley himself was a successful businessman, and when he and his wife first saw the area, they fell in love with its beauty. But what they didn't know was that the Stanley Hotel would become known for something far more chilling. Over the years, guests began to whisper about strange things happening in their rooms. It wasn't just about creaking floors or old pipes. Something or someone seemed to be there. One of the most famous ghost stories is about room 217. In 1911, a terrible storm hit the hotel. A lightning strike caused an explosion in room 217, where a housekeeper named Elizabeth Wilson was working. Elizabeth was thrown across the room, but she survived. The hotel's owners took care of her, and she continued working until her death years later. But some say she never really left. Guests who stay in room 217 often report strange things. Their bags are unpacked, clothes neatly folded, like a housekeeper had been there. Lights flicker on and off, and some even say they feel someone standing next to their bed late at night, watching them. Could it be Elizabeth, still doing her job after all these years? The Stanley Hotel is also known for its grand ballroom, where parties were once held. But today it's mostly empty, except for the sound of music. Guests report hearing a piano playing softly in the middle of the night. But when they check the room, there's no one there. Some believe that F.O. Stanley himself, the hotel's original owner, still roams the halls playing his favorite tunes. Is he keeping an eye on the hotel he loved so much? The hotel's long hallways are often quiet, but late at night, guests say they hear the laughter of children running up and down, even when no children are staying at the hotel. One guest told a story of hearing tiny footsteps right outside their door. When they opened it, there was nothing there. Was it a trick of the mind, or could it be the spirits of children from long ago still playing in the hotel? One of the creepiest places in the Stanley Hotel is the billiard room. It was F.O. Stanley's favorite room, where he spent many hours playing games. Even after his death, guests and staff have reported seeing a figure sitting in one of the chairs, watching them. Some even claim they can smell cigar smoke in the air, though smoking has been banned for years. Could Mr. Stanley still be playing his favorite game, even in the afterlife? Because of all these strange happenings, the Stanley Hotel has attracted ghost hunters and paranormal investigators from around the world. In 2006, a TV crew captured an image of a little girl on the hotel's main staircase, though no one remembers seeing a child in the building at the time. Guests and ghost hunters alike have shared stories of eerie whispers, objects moving on their own, and feelings of being watched. Could these be the restless spirits of the Stanley Hotel, waiting for their next guest? The Stanley Hotel became even more famous when author Stephen King stayed there in 1974. He and his wife were the only guests at the hotel that night. As they walked through the empty halls and dined in the quiet restaurant, King began to feel uneasy. That night, he had a terrifying nightmare about his son being chased through the halls by a fire hose. King woke up in a cold sweat and immediately began writing what would become The Shining, one of the most famous horror novels of all time. So, what makes the Stanley Hotel so haunted? Is it the spirits of past guests and workers, or something more? One thing's for sure. The next time you book a room at the Stanley Hotel, you might not be sleeping alone. Next, we travel to the windswept coast of Northern Ireland to visit the Ballygally Castle Hotel. Built in the 17th century, this hotel has a tragic and terrifying history. It is said to be haunted by the spirit of Lady Isabel Shaw, who met a tragic fate here. Built in 1625 by Lord James Shaw, Ballygally Castle has seen its fair share of history. But what many don't know is that within these stone walls lies a tragic and terrifying story of love, betrayal, and a restless ghost. Lady Isabella Shaw, the wife of Lord Shaw, lived in this castle. She was a young and beautiful woman, but her life took a dark turn when she gave birth to her first child. It's said that Lord Shaw wanted a son, but when Isabella gave birth to a daughter, his anger grew dark and dangerous. Legend has it that Lord Shaw, furious that Isabella didn't give him a son, locked her away in the tower. Alone and frightened, she pleaded for help, but no one came. Desperate to escape, Lady Isabella attempted to climb out of the tiny window in the tower. And then, she fell. Her body was never found. Some say she was pushed. Others believe she leapt in desperation. But one thing is certain, her spirit never left Ballygally Castle. Today, guests who stay at Ballygally Castle often feel an eerie presence, particularly in the ghost room where Lady Isabella spent her last days. The air feels cold, and some guests claim they can hear the soft sounds of a woman weeping. Others report hearing knocking on their bedroom doors late at night. When they open the door, no one is there. Could it be Lady Isabella, still searching for her lost child? One guest described their chilling experience at Ballygally. In the dead of night, they were awoken by a cold breeze despite the windows being closed. Suddenly, their blankets were yanked off the bed, and a shadowy figure stood at the foot of the bed. Frozen in fear, the guest watched as the figure slowly disappeared into the walls. Terrified, they ran out of the room and spent the rest of the night in the hotel lobby. Others have claimed to see the ghost of Lady Isabella wandering the halls, her pale figure silently gliding through the corridors. But it's not just Lady Isabella who haunts this castle. Guests and staff alike have reported strange sightings of other ghostly figures, former residents of the castle who never left. The whispers of past lives echo through the stone walls, and the feeling of being watched lingers in the air. So, would you dare to stay at Ballygally Castle? Would you risk a night in the ghost room? Some who visit say they feel a sense of sadness. Others say they hear her footsteps. But one thing is clear. Lady Isabella's tragic story lives on in these walls, and she may just be waiting for her next visitor. Visit Ballygally Castle, if you're brave enough. Finally, we journey to the heart of the Ozarks to visit the Crescent Hotel in Arkansas, often called America's Most Haunted Hotel. Built in 1886, the hotel has seen everything from lavish parties to tragedy. But its darkest chapter came in the 1930s, when a man named Norman Baker turned the hotel into a hospital claiming to cure cancer. None of the patients survived. The Crescent Hotel was a place where the wealthy could relax and enjoy the beauty of the Ozark Mountains. It was supposed to be a place of peace, but soon, it became known for something far more sinister. But something changed. Time passed, and the hotel began to fall apart. It closed, and that's when the real horrors began. In 1937, a man named Dr. Norman Baker bought the hotel. He wasn't a real doctor, but he claimed he could cure cancer. Desperate people from all over came to him, hoping for a miracle. But instead of cures, many found themselves trapped in a house of horrors. Baker's so-called hospital was nothing more than a cruel lie. His cures were just painful treatments that never worked. People died, their bodies hidden away in the basement, which he turned into a morgue. Their ghosts still wander the halls, crying out for justice. Room 218 is where the nightmares truly come alive. It's known as the most haunted room in the entire hotel. Long ago, a construction worker named Michael died in this room, falling to his death while building the hotel. Guests who stay here report strange things. Doors slam on their own, the sound of footsteps echo in the hallways, and cold hands touch you while you sleep. Some have even seen Michael himself standing at the foot of their bed, watching them with sad eyes before disappearing into thin air. But that's not all. During its time as a fake hospital, the Crescent Hotel became home to many spirits. One of the most famous is the ghost of a nurse, dressed in white, who roams the third floor. She's often seen pushing an empty wheelchair down the hall, or standing quietly in the doorway of room 218, as if waiting for someone. Visitors say she appears late at night, her face pale, her eyes full of sorrow. Some even hear the soft click of her shoes as she moves through the hallways, never making a sound. The scariest part of the Crescent Hotel is the basement. This is where Dr. Baker stored the bodies of his patients. The morgue, cold and dark, still holds the old autopsy table, jars of strange chemicals, and the spirits of those who never left. People who visit the basement often hear voices calling for help, feel sudden chills, or see shadows moving in the corners. Some say they've seen the spirits of Baker's victims, still trapped in the place where they died, searching for peace. Today, the Crescent Hotel is a popular spot for ghost hunters and thrill seekers. The hotel even offers ghost tours, where brave souls walk through the haunted rooms and dark hallways, hoping to catch a glimpse of the spirits that remain. Many who come to the hotel experience strange things. Lights flicker, voices whisper, and objects move on their own. Some guests leave in the middle of the night, too scared to stay another minute. The Crescent Hotel stands as a beautiful but terrifying reminder of the past. Its halls may be filled with guests today, but they're never alone. The spirits of the dead still walk its halls, forever trapped in the place where they met their end. Would you dare to stay at the Crescent Hotel, or will its dark secrets keep you far away? One thing is certain, those who stay never forget what they've seen, or what has seen them. These are just 3 of the world's most haunted hotels, where the line between the living and the dead is blurred. So, would you dare spend a night in any of them? Before you book your next stay, make sure to check if the ghosts have already reserved a room. Join us next time on World Historic Tales as we uncover more documentaries, more mysteries, more legends, and more terrifying true stories from history's darkest corners. Until then, sleep well, if you can.